Mike and Wayne, I haven't heard from them.
The recording is in progress.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
So this is April 28th at 5 PM, the Board of Selectmen work session. And you have an agenda in front of you, and I don't think you have to do a roll call because we don't need an form or anything. So we know that Rich Barris will be coming later, and so will Dwayne and Rebecca.
I just texted.
So the review of ordinance number 3, adopting the 2024 International Building Code with vocal amendments is up for discussion. So Dennis, did you want to have that up?
Yeah, just some,
Can we flip the two topics only in case our esteemed selectman Dwayne does show up?
sure.
Because I'm sure he's gonna weigh in on the building code.
I would never imagine that.
I know, so, and maybe he'll have less.
Well, with fire, I know Rich has a lot to say about fire
Oh.
too, so.
Okay.
You know, it's up to the board, whatever you want to do. It's gonna be the same conversation.
Is he
So I want to start with,
Well, I just wanted to point out that the two items are on for first reading, so if there's a discussion that happens during this work session and you want to continue that conversation during the regular meeting, that's certainly fine. So what we've done, Jerry and Alejandro from Safe Build, if you haven't met Alejandro, he is our point of contact for our Safe Build contract. So he handles everything that we might have going on. He has worked with Jerry. Our approach to this was not to dissect the entire code, but to point out what is going to be changing, and then as municipalities commonly do, they take the code and then they kind of adjust it to what their needs are. So then there's some local amendments that we would be adding to the IBC for 2024. So Jerry, if you want to take it and lead this conversation.
We're gonna go with, the suite of uniform codes and then say call it wildfire. Is that the net? Okay, all right, very good. Well, as Dennis mentioned, all municipalities, in the state have to govern the construction of buildings and related structures. And the town has a suite of, uniform codes presently in place. I'm diving into that portion of the agenda that has that in it. And that suite though dates from 2015. And as I'm sure Dwayne would say if you were here, you know, contractors, others that are engaged in building throughout the county, it's frustrating for them when they're in Silver Plume, it's this, when they're in Iowa Springs, it's that, when they're out in the county, it's another code. If the different jurisdictions have adopted codes at different levels or different ages. These uniform codes are updated by the national organizations that create these codes every, 3 years or so, Alejandro? What people try to do is to update their uniform codes to kind of keep up, number one, because I guess the science of building construction and inspection keeps getting better. You know, the science of, as a good example, the science of, okay, what's a proper emergency exit window from a basement bedroom? When you think about it, in a fire situation, that's a dangerous place to be. And it's not uncommon, I've seen this my whole career, it's not uncommon for construction, especially by individuals that are doing a little kind of home remodel. Gosh, sure be nice to have a bedroom down there and plenty of room, but you know, the escape window is just not, and that's a real death trap, and that's the kind of thing that building codes look at. And sometimes homeowners are frustrated that, well, doggone it, I need this bedroom for my teenage son who's driving me crazy, upstairs, I went downstairs. But you know, play the video tape forward, it's our job, and it's our job through our building inspectors, like Safe Build, to find those things. And as building permit applications are filed, that's what they're checking for. And but it's just one very small example of the kinds of things that uniform codes protect against in ways that are not immediately apparent to the layperson or to me than they do. There are, so those are the provisions of the uniform codes, uniform mechanical code, plumbing code, fuel gas code. I have a gas fireplace in my home, fuel gas code, and there are a number of others that that cover, if you will, the entire gamut of the conduct of construction. Uniform codes, you probably didn't know this, but actually, if we haven't adopted uniform codes since 2015, this board never had a chance to adopt uniform code by reference. Colorado statutes are very clear that mostly when you adopt an ordinance, the whole ordinance has got to be, printed and, in your packet, et cetera. But the uniform codes are just the building code is that, it looks like the phone book here, when we have phone books, it looks like the yellow pages, we have those. And Colorado, wisely, as most states, has adopted as statute saying, okay, mostly when you adopt ordinances, they've got to be posted and published. Can you imagine publishing, say, this whole book? In the Courant, the Courant would love that, but it would be prohibitively expensive. And so Colorado has a statute that says adoption of uniform codes by reference. And what that statute says is you're allowed to adopt, I'm pretending that's the uniform building code. You're allowed to adopt that by referring to it by its title, by who wrote it, by where they're located at Battery March Park or wherever that address is on some of these, for some of these other companies. And by the year of its adoption. So mostly we've got 2024 codes. I think for plumbing, it's or electricals 2023.
But the state will adopt 26 over the summer,
Okay, all right.
which means by next summer, everyone
We'll be behind.
will obligated to.
So we'll be back again. But the state Colorado statutes allow you to say, okay, you'll notice our ordinance in the packet is kind of short compared. It says we're hereby adopting these uniform codes. Here's who publishes them. Here's the version of that we're adopting. And here are two other things. The local amendments we're making. So, for example, we're gonna switch out where it says, the name of jurisdiction, we're gonna plug in Georgetown. Or it says building inspector, we're gonna plug in this term. And other local amendments, which are specific to the jurisdiction. And I'll defer to Alejandro in a minute. But, for example, in Georgetown and mountain communities, the snow load of a roof is important. When you're in Palm Desert, California, snow load, it's not that important for the roof, right? But snow load is important up here because the structured roof, some roofs can't take that, and you need to be able to be sure that at that elevation, the roof structure is built with, and I'm way out of my element here, but with enough, with rafters that are big enough for a layperson. Wind shear, wind limits and the ability to withstand wind is also something that varies by geographic jurisdiction. And these uniform codes are nationwide. So it makes sense that there should be local amendments, and our local building inspectors are on top of that. Alejandro, bless his heart, in the middle of the night, like last week sometime, when I reached out to him and said, okay, I need help here. Spent a couple hours, probably more than that, updating our local amendments. We have local amendments in our book now, but they're to the 2015 versions of these codes. So not only have the section numbers changed, but some of the substance. And again, I'll defer to Alejandro in a minute. The other thing we do locally that's required by the statute says, well, you're gonna adopt these things by reference, you're welcome to refer to the whole book, say where people can find it and not bother to publish it, save you all that money, but you must always in your uniform code adoption ordinance,
Thank you.
that there are all of the, local amendments to those codes, starting with building codes. So the list is, the National Building Code, Mechanical Code, Plumbing Code, Electric Code, Fire Code. Different from the wildfire resiliency, we get from the Energy Conservation Code, Residential Code, Existing Buildings Code, Fuel Gas Code, Property Maintenance Code. Those are the lists, there's 10 of them. And that's my thumbnail sketch, and, in terms of local amendments, maybe highlights of some of the more interesting or important local amendments Sakeville needs to enforce and does here in Georgetown.
Well, so-
Audrey, you're on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
These two gentlemen, they didn't meet, hello?
Nice to meet you.
And Heather, nice to meet you.
Um,
So on the local amendments, again, because they are local amendments, if you can imagine, out of my office, we service 9 municipalities. A couple of them have hundreds of amendments, a couple of them have 0. So they are very specific to each municipality. So because of that, I was very light-handed. What I basically did is that I went through the amendments from 2015 and I updated them. Some of the verbiage had changed. Some of the sections no longer exist because the books have gotten bigger or smaller or larger or and that was basically how we came up with the updated 2024 amendments. They are the newest version of what was adopted 9 years ago, maybe
At least 10, yeah. 11,
2015, 11, yeah,
yeah.
11 years ago.
And those are, you see those in this ordinance, there's some, I'm looking, for example, at the, building code, that's maybe one with the greatest number of, local amendments. We replaced building official with code official. But again, Town of Georgetown, we reference mechanical code. We reference the schedule of permit fees because permit fees are, of course, a local matter, and we reference that they're set from time to time by resolution for selectmen, and you do that regularly with your fee amendment. All the stuff on violations. Height of a building, how that's measured is a local amendment here. There's snow, you'll notice there's, I'm on page 55 of the packet. Roof snow load, frost depth, and wind load. I mentioned that those are local, and I'm sure all Hunter can tell you why. You know, roof snow load 75 pounds per square foot, and frost depth 42, which I like because it's the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Nobody. It's like this guy in the galaxy, nobody. Thank you. And wind load 100 miles per hour, so you gotta find the humor where you can. In
That's
uniform
right.
codes.
It's also the periodic table number for Middleton.
See,
Well
there you
done.
go, I didn't know that. Very
I
good.
lived in them and the
So-
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah,
There you have
there
it.
you go. So I think we're at the point of the questions on uniform codes, and Alejandro and I are happy to field questions.
I did have some questions. In the ordinance, Jerry, under, it's on page 50, it's the page itself is on page 50.
Okay.
There were a lot of references to appendices under each code. Are those? It doesn't seem to, are those exclusive of certain appendices? Does it matter? This is just informational. Obviously, I don't have a technical reason, but I just wanted to know why specific ones are mentioned and not all of them, or what have you.
Alejandro? can you-
So appendices are, I wish I had a book with me, or actually your code book, but I don't.
If you want the copy of the ordinance.
No,
It's not gonna-
We're supposed to have one here, town clerk's office.
I have the 2015 version.
Okay, that's
How about that one?
Yeah, and we'll replace it, obviously,
Sure.
but, the appendices largely cover.
about appendices are very short, sweet, and they cover very specific topics, so.
Okay.
Not everyone adopts all of the
All of them.
appendices because.
Okay. So those that are not referenced then are excluded, is that what
Are
we're saying?
excluded.
Are excluded, okay. Thank you.
And just in daily use, I guess the board might be interested to hear, kind of as you do your work, there's a new project and somebody's building a Fort Rex or whatever. sort of what the rhythm of your, use the uniform codes is as they work their way through the permit process, or Dwayne could probably say that. But he's not the inspector, so,
Yeah, I don't know if
tell us about that.
And what do you mean by rhythm as far
Well,
as
just,
enforcement or?
here's how we as Safeville rely on that book that you're about to adopt for selectmen.
Okay.
When we do our job.
Well, the first thing we do is if, we're doing it multiple times within the next couple of months. I have many meetings similar to this. So each municipality decides, let's say that in somewhere in your amendments in your municipal codes, it says that once you adopt it, we start enforcing it at 30 days.
These are just some other.
There it is, thank you.
The very first layer of that enforcement is going to be when the project goes through plan review. We have dozens of plan reviewers all over the country. We have several in Colorado. So the very first layer is our plan review team. And once a municipality adopts a certain code cycle, any new permit application that comes through that municipality gets reviewed from under that code cycle. And then once they approve all the prints and the print inspectors start coming out. One of the things I used to hear in a previous life, I was a contractor in Florida. And one of the things that would drive me crazy when an inspector would show up and just say, I just want you to fix it this way because that's the way I've done it for 30 years. We don't do that. We absolutely do not. We will not say that. If you hear anyone say that, let me know. Because one of the things that we like to provide are code references. So if I come out to your home or an electrical inspector comes out to your home and he sees something that will require some kind of fix, he should be able to give me a code reference. I'm asking you to do this because in this code section, it says that this is how you should wire that switch.
Right.
You should never hear an inspector say that I've been doing it this way for 30 years and do I have my book in the car? I don't need it because I know everything. So we are very clear that when we enforce something to the best of our ability, our comments come directly out of whatever code book is necessary.
Thank you.
I realize we're probably 2 cycles out of date here, but are there,
Oh, yes.
what stands out in your mind is the major, I'm all for stepping up into the next
Right.
century here. But what are the major impacts that we're going to see, from our
Well,
contract?
definitely, so from 2015, even now, sometimes items do not make every code cycle, so there may be verbiage in 2015 that someone was trying to get to the code for 2010. And they just happened to miss the 2012 cycle, so it made it in 2015. So even though the code cycle is 3 behind, some of the information may be in 2010, it might be 15 years old. So in the last 12 or 15 years, construction has come a long way, specifically where safety is concerned, where efficiency is concerned. Those are going to be the 2 major impacts. Are going to be that the homes will be safer than they would have been 10 or 12 years ago. They're going to be much more efficient.
As an energy efficient?
As an energy efficient, yes, materials, appliances, whether it's cooking appliances or water heaters or heating and air conditioning, all those types of equipment have become so much more efficient than they were 10 or 15 years ago. And building practices have become more efficient. Windows are more efficient.
Windows are huge.
But
Well, I say windows are huge on how far.
Windows are huge, yeah.
We're already using, most people should be using them, you can, I guess by code, you could argue that you can get by with it.
yeah,
I would say most of the contractors are using much better windows.
I'm aside from a few specific like safety things, I would say the code is catching up to more of the construction practice, because especially on the newer homes that are being designed, they're way ahead of the 2015 anyway.
There's the panels and stuff are exterior, with built-in insulation. This
So
heat
most of them
regulation.
are above code.
Yeah.
They're now they're matching code.
But most of the newer homes are well above the. adopted
2015,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
So I had I'm sorry, I had a quick other question. I know we have limited time. Did you have a question? I wanted to know how the international building code differs from the international existing building code.
So the international building code is for any new construction project.
Okay,
The existing building code is exactly as it says.
what it says, okay,
It's exactly as it says. Now, the existing code does reference the building code for certain aspects. It will say if you're going to remodel this room, certain areas of the room or certain aspects need to meet the requirements of the building code.
okay,
But the existing building code, has a lot more flexibility. There's an entire chapter in there,
okay.
about historic buildings, and so it allows more flexibility for exactly as it says, existing buildings.
Great, thank you.
Here, there was a couple of questions that maybe these might be up your alley, just in our own verbiage on our code, because I know we're adopting the 2025 version, but we're
Sure.
updating our own code. And maybe they were just speed of hand or some of these, on page 55 of our packet. Even though we're not technically into it.
I'm there.
On the wind load, number 3 down towards the bottom.
Yeah.
The 100 mph, what's the HNO refer to? Cause I didn't see that in that chart.
Probably a typo.
What was the typo? I'm sorry, where was it?
Under wind section 1603.1 construction documents, and it talks about roof, snow load, frost depth, and wind load. The wind load's 100 mph, and then there was some funky,
Oh,
secret
code.
algebraic algorithm, something about it. I was just curious, because when I looked at the little chart here, I wasn't seeing, not that I would have done the math to get to that, but I was just curious what that stood for. And I'm just kind of curious what this is referring to, because I obviously didn't look it up in my own personal copy of the International Mechanical Code on page 56.
She said, okay.
Number 9. It says section 309. And this is probably not a Jerry question. And Alondra, if you could answer this. It's amended by inserting the words "and 2 feet from exterior walls in all habitable rooms between above floor and the design heating day." One of you contractor guys, Dwayne, whoever, weigh in. What does that refer to? And here, you can,
Do you want to see the context?
I could probably,
Unless you know,
yeah, I could
this one right here. I'm just wondering what, obviously it's being amended to include something that we haven't had before, and I guess I'm just kind of curious as to the reasons why.
well, so, as I said earlier, all of these existed in your 2015 amendments. I just updated the code section. I would have to Google that specific code section to know exactly what that verbiage is.
Okay, well, is it in the book?
What's being changed.
Okay, it just sounded like all of a sudden we were going from nothing to 2 feet, and I'm like, wow, we're in this big gap in.
No, it sounds
Wall,
very specific. It must be a location for event or something specific.
Is it in that book?
No.
Because our book is the 2015 version, so.
It's probably find it.
I'm
No.
not sure.
Oh, another question for you on the windmill. I was positive that the windmill was already 100, on our plans was 130 miles an hour for a truss and stuff.
So wind loads, snow loads have all been updated in 2024.
But I think we've been using that already, maybe just by chance we have, maybe that's what our engineers have been engineering it to.
We have
Possibly. I had an issue with
Possible.
We have a local amendment that the V ultimate, which is the gust
Oh, okay.
is 140 miles
Yeah,
per
I
hour.
know, it's fine, yes.
Yeah, but there is a difference between
Oh,
this.
okay. So you're talking about the volt, which is a 3-second gust.
Right,
Gotcha.
so the
That's-
regular wind
right,
speed
yeah.
versus the gust.
Right, which is different than sustained wind speed.
So that was back about we should set this up. Gotcha,
Interesting about wind speed, and you mentioned snow load, there's a great tool that didn't exist in 2015 now.
Yeah.
You can go on a website and the ASCE, the American Society of Civil Engineers, and you can put your your specific address in, and it will give you the wind speed design, the snow load design.
Wow.
That is awesome.
For a specific address, which is fantastic.
Yeah, or is, I wonder if my address would be different than your address just because of whatever. Or if Georgetown is all consistent. I mean, I realize we're
Yeah.
to a certain set of rules, but it would be interesting. Just from a anecdotal,
Look up your own home.
yeah,
From the lake versus where I live at,
well, exactly, because I get all that, you know,
I feel like it's always winter.
it's almost like the Windy City in Chicago, you know? That lake effect.
I have a question, and I apologize, this is kind of a niche. But I'm thinking of our commercial historic district and
Yes.
some of the things that are happening out there. And so I know some of the things that people have faced, in renovating historic district, commercial properties. Are a lot related to the fuel and sprinklers,
Right.
sprinkler requirements and those
Okay.
types of things, and because those can be super
Expensive.
costly and then when you're going to these historical projects,
Right.
I was trying to find what 4.4.5 was, and that's listed specifically as a fire prevention code in the building code amendment. I reckon you probably don't know that code off the top of your head, but
I'll tell you that I do not know.
is there a way for us to support our commercial district, which needs
Yes.
economic redevelopment
Well,
badly without?
That's one of the great things about the existing building code, is that it gives you many exceptions for building.
Those buildings that would probably
Yeah.
be like cost prohibitive
Oh, yeah.
or those types of
I'll
things.
call your attention to page 53.
Thank
So
you.
the packet.
I'm gonna say, you know, Amanda, though, like your investment purposes, you want it to be right up to date too. So like take stairs, you don't want stairs because you look at the liability issues of that also. So if your stairs that are not up to code, they're a hazard by safety. So you would typically
You've been in
want,
the house.
you want to, exactly, you'd want to bring them if you could, but where the, like Alejandro was saying. There is other alternatives, like if you just can't get an up to date set of steps in there.
I'm more
So-
worried about some of the issues that occurred in Idaho Springs, as it pertains to sprinklers in particular.
Gotcha.
In the historic district and what some of those operations went through and the fuel. I'm sorry, the word just escaped me, the fire prevention and the fuel, it's in here, I just looked at it.
But I still wonder, you know, I still.
I understand you do want to bring
Well,
up the code.
no, there's
Sometimes
both ways too, though. I always look at everything as
Half
liability,
more
right?
liability.
Safety liability, but also too, you put a sprinkler system or you don't, but the place burns down, you lose it anyway.
But
It's a liability.
That's true.
But I.
Yeah, well, not knowing specifically. Which projects you're talking about, but there are also different requirements depending on the level. Of refurbishment that you're doing, there are different levels, level 1, level 2, level 3.
Okay.
And depending on what your level is, which is usually dictated by either volume of work compared to the space or monetary value. There are different requirements on how far you have to go in bringing that space up to code.
So we had, and this may have been before you came on board, Amanda.
Yeah.
Dwayne, you were on. Who chose the old,
Exactly.
whatever, you came for us. With some amendments to the existing code, and I may be saying this backwards, requesting our approval for that. To wait because it was a historic building. They were willing to do some for safety issues, obviously, we're not losing sight of that. But there were some because of the structure of the building and you can't change what you can by tearing it down and starting over. And so we were in that process, that appeal process.
Well, the issue with that was though, they done a bunch of stuff without having permits. So they got into it without permits, starting stuff. And part of the problem is once you do something, you have to bring it up to code, correct? Like, if I give out a set of steps, I do.
Well, that's a simplified version is,
Yeah.
yeah, basically, you're not really required to bring. The entire structure up to code, it's only the portions of the structure that you touch.
And if it was
Or-
flush,
or get
that
paid.
situation was complicated because they went farther than what they should have. And they kind of got caught and then wanted to argue that they didn't need to do it.
Yeah, that probably goes back to the different levels of.
So it's a process that we could have here as the board of selectmen if we were to run into some of those.
So the Lucha, that's one of the, I was familiar with their stuff and that's why
Okay.
I brought it up, but I think the biggest thing I wanna look out for is in the current climate we have on Sixth Street with the number of vacant storefronts we have. Finding a means that obviously doesn't compromise safety, but allows people to get into these projects with support that doesn't become unattainable. Where all of a sudden it becomes, you have to put in a $350,000 sprinkler system.
Right.
To open and they don't, and that takes up their whole renovation budget,
Yeah.
or we have to put in
On
something,
page 50.
an elevator, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
Something that would be unattainable.
something like that, either one would not be automatically required.
Okay,
There's
That's what I'm
something already in here.
And let me speak to that, you
Yeah.
know,
that's.
our code has for a long time. Had section 1504-060 is on page 53. That's just carried forward from where the code is now. And I realize it's written kind of generally, but intentionally so. Application of historic buildings, right? And it does say that the town shall administer the codes in a manner that protects the integrity and significant features of the town's historic structures, including allowing deviations from the codes and standards in order to reduce impacts, et cetera, et cetera. And says what a historic structure is, which clearly includes the ones that are concerned here. There's no question an art to that, or probably not a science, and more of an art to that when someone comes in, and the Lucia's example is both a good example and a bad. It's good because it raises the, you know, it poses the, how far should we need to go to be able to revive the structure? And it's a bad one because the facts were that they'd already done some work, and I don't suggest the board try to reprise the Lucha's was a good or bad appeal discussion here on the,
Oh, not at all.
in
Yeah.
the arena of should we be adopting these uniform codes, but I recognize your legitimate interest in saying, okay, these are uniform codes, but we're not a uniform, you know, community by gosh. We've got historic structures, and that's one of the
Yeah. that's what she's trying to
things
say.
that we support here in Georgetown, and I wanted you to know that there is that window.
I did read that and I just wanted to make sure that that was
Yeah.
still,
It's still in and it's meaningful. Applying it is always going to be a little tricky, and I'm just warning you that it will be, you know, because
Yeah.
that's the nature of each building is a little different, and a little more, a little less historic, and, you know, but the only way to avoid that mess is to say, we don't care, and it's our way, it's the uniform code or not, and I know you don't want that. Instead, you want to embrace the tough conversations that have to happen around work in historic buildings. That's always been true here. And we managed to get it done over time, seems like.
So that's exactly why each code is so specific.
Yeah.
To each municipality, even in the existing building code,
Yeah,
many exceptions, dozens of exceptions for historic buildings. And they don't have to be on this, what is that, the historic national register?
yeah, the national landmark.
They can be deemed historic by the local municipality.
And we say appropriate state or local law.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got it kind of covered.
We just created our local register.
Oh, there you go.
So that's good, so yay, more
Right.
buildings.
Perfect, yeah.
we don't need to take up any more time on that, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions for Alejandro or Jerry on this? No. Well, thank you, Alejandro, very much for being here. We really appreciate your time and
Nice to meet everyone.
helping. Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Yes.
I'm personally grateful to him. I was really struggling with this. And he pulled together the local amendments. I was trying to make them work, and I realized that I didn't have all the right materials, and he did.
Yeah, so
So
we went to the expert.
we
So
did
that's
go to the expert.
Thank you, but I will say, the next morning when I woke up to have my coffee at 5 o'clock, someone had emailed me at almost midnight, so.
Still thinking about it.
It was someone else working half the night on this.
You learn to turn your phone off early.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
That's the best time to get in touch with Jerry, though.
Oh, wow.
One of my partners said, oh, Jerry, no, he's nocturnal. Kind of like, I was like a, a raccoon or the things. that
Owl,
wake
the
up-
owl, owl.
That kind of,
Yeah.
actually, it's true.
It's the best time to get your prey.
I did bring some of my cards, which I will leave.
Please.
Thank you, that would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, just in case, of course, you know how to get hold of it, but
Of course.
just leave these somewhere.
Right there on the.
Yeah, right there on the table.
We
would be
made
good.
a promise not to do.
Alejandro, thank you again. We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Charlie,
it.
thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jerry,
You
for
bet.
all of that, putting that
Yeah.
together.
Might not need it for much longer.
And this is action item 3 on our agenda later, so I will be looking at that again.
Yep.
So the second item on our work session agenda is the review of ordinance for adopting by reference the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Codes. We're doing a lot of adoptions of codes today.
We are.
So did you want to,
I can-
Jerry, is that you?
Yeah, I can make a
Okay.
few remarks about that.
And that is this, correct?
Well, yeah, that's.
This was on everybody's, by everybody's seat.
Animals right
It was
here.
not emailed out earlier, yeah.
Um. And, a couple of things about this.
Fine, thank you.
Mechanically, you adopt it the same way as you adopt the others. It's also a code by reference. It's a lot shorter, it's not a big book, but it's still, 40 pages of stuff. And, you're allowed to adopt by reference, and you have a separate ordinance that does that. And adopts by reference and plugs it into, a spot in the blue book. That, code by reference to ordinance makes local amendments as well, not as many. You'll notice it's.
Is that?
We validate parking, yes.
No. It's no.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Oh,
yeah.
It's been snowing.
No, I am a little familiar with the Wheelie Code. If you have a couple quick questions on that.
That's it. I love the help.
Okay.
Oh, great, thank you.
It's not
That's
on that.
great,
I'm semi-familiar with it.
I'd love the help.
thank you.
And I'll do the same introduction, and then if the board has questions, great, you're the guy.
Great.
You can get shipped.
Okay.
You got a presentation from, the fire authority, right?
Yes, we
Who
did.
came in and gave the sales pitch for, this stuff, as you might recall. I think procedurally, you adopt the same way as the other uniform codes. There's a separate ordinance, says we're hereby adopting this code. Name, date, place where it's published by reference. Here's our local amendments. The, local, penalty clauses are built into that, so everything I said about the uniform building codes are apply as well. I would say that embedded even within this code is a section on historic structures. It's on page 8 of this handout, which I think that gets to the question Amanda raised earlier. That talks about variance is authorized to be issued for the repair or rehabilitation of historic structures or construction of a contributing structure upon determination that repair will not preclude their continued designation of historic structure. So that's all pretty good, and it does say that, what historic structures are that meet that, that meet the qualifications to be listed in that section. They've got the same as you saw on page 53 of your packet. National Historic Register determined to be historic, part of a historic district, or state or local historic preservation programs. So we've got our historic structures covered several ways. One of the advantages, I believe, the housing or the fire authority described of having this code in place is the impact on homeowners insurance that we're all seeing. My neighbor just finished clearing out just about everything that could burn within, 100 feet of his house because he lost his insurance and had to satisfy an insurance company and really work hard at it to do it. And if it was an example of sort of applying standards like this that insurance companies are increasingly applying. And I think if you have a local code, I think that's helpful. It's probably not dispositive if your if Allstate shows up and runs a drone over your house, I can't help you. And you can't help that owner necessarily, but what you can do, is, and the owner can say, well, in this jurisdiction, we have this code, and I think, insurance companies look at, you know, their levels of review for them. Okay, is there a building code in place? Yes. So at least we've got that. Is there a fire code in place? Yes. Is there a wildfire resiliency code in place in this jurisdiction? Yes, those are three good check marks. If I'm the Allstate insurance person, it's now charged with figuring out if my rates for Clear Creek County are appropriate in Georgetown, right? And I plug that into the algorithm. So good, you know, but then, you know, you want a new roof on Amanda's house, and they actually come out and see, you have all those trees right up against the house. I can't help you there, but, that's, I'm trying to describe for you the value, I think, of your actions of doing this as a uniform code. Other things maybe I missed about this, what are?
Well, a couple of things that we're finding interesting, we say, Bill, one is the enforcement of it. The enforcement of it is not very clear. It allows for a lot of flexibility locally with, especially with historic buildings. I mean, it really affects new structures and new work, just like the building code. In one of our municipalities, and again, who knows what insurance companies will do, right? But we are now finding that there are individuals out there who are starting businesses providing reports of what they call fire truthing, I believe is the verbiage they're using. They'll come out to your home, your property, they'll write you a report, based on this, I think you should do this and you should do that. And I have heard that the insurance companies are finding that helpful, for lack of another word. It's not really a requirement. But again, adopting this will have very little immediate effect on anyone in Georgetown. It will affect any types of new roofs, of course. But again, the cost difference is minimal. It will affect new homes, but the building code already has provisions and requirements if you're a certain distance from a property line or a certain distance from another structure. So even that would add minimal costs to adopting this to any type of new structure.
Alejandro, when you're administering the building code in a jurisdiction in Georgia, and this code's in place, is that a code that you look at, rely on, enforce, issue a permit under?
Yes to all of those.
Okay.
So for example, if, I haven't specifically looked at the map for Georgetown for a while, I believe the entire area, either orange or red. So I would imagine if you do adopt it, you're gonna, well, not if you do adopt it, kind of mandated to adopt it, but even that's up in the air now, my understanding. You probably adopted the same town-wide. So if you adopt it, our plan reviewers, along with the new building codes, would review new structures to make sure that they meet that code as well.
So, and not to put words in your mouth, but if I'm a board member here, it would be useful to me to know that, well, adopting this, it's probably not gonna change a lot in the construction world, in the sense, because that's what I'm hearing, in the sense that we already have fire code things built into our construction codes.
Correct, yes.
And this is, if anything, supportive of that. But from a sort of overall insurance rating standpoint for the jurisdiction, at least that's my take, and what I believe and what I've learned is that at least it's plugged into the insurance company's algorithms for this area, which is of benefit to me as a homeowner to know that, or for the insurance companies to at least know that those things are in place. Now, when you get down to the granular level of my house or, you know, Mike's or anyone else's, then, you know, good luck. But the starting point, at least in terms of rating the jurisdiction, is helpful.
Could be, yeah.
It definitely is an ingredient when the ISO rating is reviewed on an annual basis. It's not one of those top 5 issues. Your water system is gonna be top 1, 2, 3 probably, and the personnel that you have in the fire authority, whether they're full-time, part-time, how many you have, those are the big issues, but this definitely will have an impact on that ISO rating review.
Perfect.
Okay, interesting.
All right.
So is our entire town, you bring up a map and so this triggers. I'm assuming, but we know what that means. Is our entire town in the same map zone area for?
In the same level,
Yeah.
I believe it is, yes.
Okay.
It's price of water.
That's interesting.
Well, I know, and, but I can, I can see other areas that may have that variance. I think it makes it easier for us knowing that, this is the same, so.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with not the town itself, but the surroundings.
Yeah. That's right.
With the trees,
Yeah,
Yes,
and the topography, I mean,
yes.
Georgetown is unique and it's a windy place and it will foster wildfires quicker than in other places, but also all those trees that we're working very hard to plant. Would be an issue 20 years from now.
Yeah.
As long as they don't fall down.
Yeah, so I mean, this is not a fire code in the sense that it will require any more sprinklers or
Yeah.
any more egress. This is more of a fire resistance, fire hardening type of code. It even throws things in there about types of landscaping, materials for fencing and sheds and all, if you choose to enforce it 110%, it would affect all of those areas around someone's home, but no one's really doing that because it would seem kind of unfair, right? Let's say you live in a beautiful home and you have this beautiful oak tree that's 100 years old. According to that, if it's too close to your house, you may have to put it down.
Plus the gazebo.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. We could, we just started back on the code enforcement work, and when we get through some of the stuff that's just backed up on us over the many years that we've been looking the other way, we could proactively pursue this as an educational thing with our safe built people and for sure do a resiliency review of your home if you like it on a voluntary basis, which would be a good part.
Remember, our fire authority is gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's great.
they're gonna ease into that this summer. And I think, that'll be a good gauge for us to see what needs to be completed down the line.
Yeah, that,
Plus firefighters are already good friends, so it's gonna come across much better than, sorry to say it, Bill, I'm sorry. You're not always,
No.
friends. You are in theory.
no, I think, honestly, I will say it out loud, we want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Unless it's you, right, because then that's our bailiwick, we don't know anything about trees or landscaping or.
Yeah.
But if someone, going back to say protecting your home. Because of this, if your neighbor replaces his roof, it has to meet a certain fire resistance. Level,
Yeah.
which makes your house safer if there isn't one.
Okay.
Thanks, Alejandro, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
sir. It was really nice to meet you. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Honestly.
Now maybe it stops now.
No, you never know. Don't forget your stuff.
Alejandro, if you wanna stay and help us with the rest of the items on the agenda, that would be great. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions on this for Jerry or Dennis? Okay, very good. Any other questions on any of the work session agenda items? All right, very good. Well, it is 5:50 something.
Don't worry.
51. Yeah, let's take a recess and we'll meet at 6. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's because I need a scoop waffle.
That's exactly.
I really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very kind.
Everybody remember Mr. Arsani, right? You'll have to.
Yes, I'm Mr.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So it is 6 o'clock and this is the regular meeting for the Georgetown Board of Selectmen. It is April 28th. And we will have now our roll call. Mike Huggins.
Here.
Amanda Cooper. Here. Alex Sassoon.
Yeah.
Dwayne Gazinski.
Here.
Mary Smith. Rich Barrows.
Here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You have in front of you an agenda for today. Are there any changes or additions or corrections to the agenda? All right, do I have a motion to accept and approve the agenda as presented? Dwayne, thank you. And Alice, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. All right, the agenda is passed. For public comment, members of the public may speak for up to 3 minutes on topics not on the agenda. Written letters will be acknowledged but not read aloud, and we do not have any of those for what I think. And comments on agenda items can be submitted prior to the meeting by email to townclerk@townofgeorgetown.us. Bridget, do we have anyone online in the public? No one. Okay, having no public comments, we will move on to a presentation from Sergeant Dave Straley with the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office, and that information is in your packet. This presentation information. Thank you, Sergeant Straley.
Good evening, things are continuing to roll well. March, we saw a slight uptick. The patrol division responded to 144 calls for service, resulting in 16 reports taken. That's slightly over 10% growth from February. If you look at the table thus far, it's continuing to go, and that's pretty common as the weather gets nicer, we tend to get busier, so not unexpected. Most areas probably more of a felony trespass or trespass to a vehicle, known suspect, mostly crimes. We were able to identify suspects pretty readily. So, pretty standard fare, nothing alarming or concerning, for the month of March, and I'll continue to move forward. Good news, we recently graduated, 2 guys out of their field training program. And effective May 1st, we will have 4 deputies assigned to the town.
Which is
And
great.
with the town's help, we set up a meet and greet for the next Wednesday.
Thank you. That's gonna be very exciting. I'm looking
I was
forward
gonna ask
to it.
about that.
We did.
Yeah.
We're kind of excited, so.
That's very
We're
exciting.
starting to see fruition of this program and going on pretty well. Any questions?
Any questions for Sergeant Straley?
Can you explain the parameters of extra control in the
So-
activity report?
So the extra patrol is generally when they dedicate time to a specific area. Part of the parameter of that is citywide for the town of Georgetown. It's one way I can document it and accurately track the time. They're just routinely patrolling when we don't have a deputy assigned. We've asked the deputies to come and give it an hour per shift if they're available to roll through town. So that's what that extra patrol is. Area check is a little bit more specific. They're honing in on a specific area, whether it be the park or something of that nature. But the extra patrol is just a citywide patrol documented for us.
And I know this may change as these 2 new officers, or the 2 deputies are assigned here next month, but so for the extra patrol, the time it starts is indicated. And there's no end time.
Right.
If that continues, is there some way that you can document in your report that extra patrol in a cumulative way ended up being whatever?
Sure, for the month of March, there was 48 extra patrols. And it ended up just being over 43 hours of time.
Okay.
Instead of getting a full hour, they got all the way to.
Yeah, it could be great intentions and then something.
Yes, that happens. And most of my guys try to get back, but there's no guarantee.
No, I
So, yes,
understand that.
absolutely.
Also then, since we'll have deputies here in Georgetown, can these reports be enhanced where they include some proactive traffic enforcement when that occurs? Not my car or anyone here, but
We're not biased, and
No,
we
no.
found when people ask for enforcement on their street, we tend to get them, but,
I mean, we all know
absolutely.
what the pocket areas are, so we're hoping that that becomes a little bit more routine.
Yeah, I will certainly work with the town administrator to see what's appropriate, but the guys that are assigned it to the town, I can certainly break down what their daily activities look like and number and types of calls that they are handling throughout the.
So, yeah, so if it turns out that they've, got 3 speeders in a month, whatever, I mean, just so that we have that documented as far
Well,
as.
for fair warning, one of
Yes.
our deputies assigned
Remember, there's
for the
speeder
month,
cars there.
for the month of May is our highest traffic producing officer. He writes more tickets than anyone else, so
Oh, dear.
fair warning.
Okay, so we'll all be walking next month.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
But yeah, you should see some revenues coming from that for tickets we write in the town.
Not really concerned about the revenue, I'm concerned about the.
The enforcement and safety is always important, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In
Amanda.
addition to the traffic enforcement, which was there, I was going to ask about, because I think some of us are getting feedback on that. Now that the weather's warmer and we're seeing more tourists in town, is it possible to have them walking a little bit? And like, okay, cool, thanks,
Yes,
I'll go along.
we do have a division meeting, planned for the patrol division, also starting on the 6th immediately after the meet and greet. Where we have an outline of what's fully expected. And frankly, working 12 hours, pushing the radiator gets tiresome, so. Foot patrols, business checks, all those are strongly encouraged.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Well, and to that end, I did want to say that we had Sergeant Straley and another one of your officers at s'mores. So we did have their
Alright.
presence right in historic downtown, so that was great. I was very happy to see you guys there, yeah.
Well, I know people are concerned because of the pass opening early, and I haven't
Right.
noticed major upticks, but I did have comments about traffic enforcement as it specifically relates to the opening of the pass.
Right,
And
because all that's
the
happened.
concern that people have about the Rose Street
Yeah.
motor speedway that comes in the summer.
Yeah, especially early in the year with the school still being in session, we definitely are gonna be
Right.
keeping an eye on that and making sure we have bodies out there.
That stop sign becomes like invisible, because I do crossing guard when we get, and I've never seen a stop sign that just apparently does not, I don't know if they even have them in other states.
Oh, they're definitely camouflage, they're.
I joked
I know.
last year that we should write stop y'all on the road.
Okay, well then, so, any other questions for Sergeant Straley on his report?
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Sergeant Straley, we appreciate it as always.
As a reminder, though, I wanted to point out that whenever you hear those comments, see those comments, or somebody brings them to you, please bring them to me right away so that I can inform Sergeant Straley. He can do a targeted traffic enforcement or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Understood,
If you-
sir.
And as we get working through, if you do see selective traffic enforcement, that's us spending time in a specific area looking for specific things, so. We're happy to do that, that's built into what we do.
Selective parking enforcement too, please.
Yes, and, yeah, 22nd Street's still not hot, that's for one of my guys, right?
yeah.
I saw someone parking ticket the other day, and I was like, kind of excited.
I know,
I
right?
feel weird being excited for that, but I think it's good.
And I warned them first, I was like, you can't park here, and they were like, and then they got to get, I was like, wow.
She didn't even call me, so.
I
See,
didn't, I was trying to be nice to them.
all plans
Well,
work.
thank you, good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Have a great day. See ya. Thanks, honey.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Certainly.
All right, next on your agenda, we have two periods of payables. The first one is April 4th through the 17th. We have Q here. If you have any questions, there's some notes in front of your report. Anybody have any questions or comments on this payables report? All right, so we are okay with that one. Moving on to the next payables report. The dates range is April 18 to April 26. Again, there's a cover sheet with some comments in your packet. I know that we are still cleaning up some of those old 2025 invoices, so Q and Dennis have made comments about that. Any questions or comments on this payables period?
We seem to have discrepancy on the date. Payables review 18 of April to 26th of April.
Oh, 23rd, sorry. Yep, okay, let's see about that. So this should be the 23rd in your packet. The
Right.
date should be April 18 to April 23, not April 26. Thank you, Alex, for pointing that out. Any other comments or thoughts on these payables? All right, very good, thank you. So moving on, also included is a monthly sales tax revenue summary that you included. Any comments or questions on this one?
No, I just wanna say though, that the detail on those is getting much cleaner, and so thank you so much, I really like the way the report
It's very informative too. All right, any comments on that? All right, very good. Next item for your approval are the minutes from the meeting April 14th, 2026. I know there was some last minute comments and corrections. You should have the latest version at your place. So, which would include all of the comments and corrections that Bridget received. Any other changes or comments and corrections here? All right, do you have a motion to approve the minutes that were in your place today?
Motion to approve the minutes for the Town of Georgetown Board of Selectmen, April 14th, 2026.
Thank you. Second,
Second.
Alex, all those in favor?
I
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, those minutes are accepted. So moving on into your packet to action items. The first item up is consideration of a professional services agreement with Orsatti Water Consultants. We have Mr. Orsatti with us here today. And so, Dennis, I didn't know if you wanted to start this conversation?
Yeah, just a brief reminder, the board approved and selected Mr. Orsatti's firm to do the water plant intake redesign work. This was the document that you received, I think it was March 10th, that you made that approval. And so the second step in this process, when you go through a qualifications-based RFP, is to develop a professional services agreement with the chosen consultant, negotiate price. I have to admit, it was very easy with Bob. Jerry wrote it, and I'll borrow your term by reference. Exhibit A is this document that you already adopted or approved back in March. We sent it to Bob. He had a couple of questions. We finalized it, and we have it before us, and he's very excited to get going on this project. Bob, do you have anything to add?
No, it's very simple process, contracts are very familiar to me, I've executed it a number of times over the years, so, well, things went very smooth on my end. After your approval, I just moved to, get a certificate of insurance, sent off to you folks, with that stuff handled, but, you know, again, very straightforward, should be moving forward.
Thank you. So just to clarify, Dennis, this is exhibit A to the services agreement? Okay, very good. And then exhibit B is referenced in here, is for the duration of the agreement, contractor shall procure, maintain its own insurance as set forth in appendix B. Okay, so appendix B is part of this exhibit A, I expect here.
Yeah.
Okay. That's this appendix B.
It's about there.
There it is, appendix B, gotcha. Okay, thank you. Those were the only questions I had. Anybody else have any questions on this? No? Okay, there's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to read and make that motion?
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve professional services agreement with Orsatti Water Consultants for $35,411 and authorize the police judge corporate to sign on behalf of the town of Bridgeland.
I think you should read that faster. Thank you.
I had
Alright.
to take a breath.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good. Mr. Orsatti, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here and look forward to that work.
Me too. Everybody here, have a wonderful evening. and,
Thank you. You as well.
We'll look forward to seeing each other soon.
Sounds good. Thank you. Have a good rest of your evening.
Yeah,
Thanks, Bob.
take care, folks.
All right, agenda item number 2 is consideration of a quotation from Hatch Company for $22,604.39 for the replacement of chlorine analyzer and NTU meters. Dennis, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, real quick, these two purchases were identified in this year's capital improvement plan for the water department. is currently our consultant who does all of our equipment maintenance, repair, and purchasing, and they have over the years been a very good servicing company for our water department, and so we are continuing to utilize the HAT equipment that was bid and quoted for you this evening. And you can see from the summary paragraphs that I've given you, the W3 and the W4 are the nomenclature in the capital improvement plan. So it's water project 3 and water project 4. Our total budget for these two projects this year was $50,000. So you can see where these quotes were coming in well below the budgeted amount. So we're recommending that the board approve the purchase of the NTU meters and the chlorine analyzer for $22,604.39.
Thank you. Any questions on this? Presented? All right, very good. There's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to make that motion?
I move to approve the purchase of MTU meters and chlorine analyzers from Hack Company for a cost of $22,604.30.
Thank you. Okay, Amanda, is that you?
Dwayne took it.
Okay, Dwayne, you. All right, all those in-
He's like, he's a
all those in favor? Any opposed? Very good. So we have that. Is it half? The half company? Hatch.
Good for tonight.
All right, whatever. It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, third item number 3 is consideration of ordinance 4 regarding the International Building Code. This was the subject of one of the subjects of our work sessions. Any other further conversation or comments on this from anyone? Or Dennis or Jerry, anything you wanted to add to this?
Ordinance number 3,
Yes,
4 is the,
I'm sorry, ordinance number 3,
yeah.
first reading. This-
Yeah, first reading, and you're setting it for hearing, because it's the ordinance code adopted by reference. There's a special noticing requirement in the statute that I neglected to mention during the study session, but. Notice of a public hearing on second reading has to be published 15 days out from the hearing and then 8 days out. And then I prepared the notices,
And
Richard has them.
Yeah.
So we're good there.
very good.
And we'll do those notices for the meeting on May 26th. And I will correct any typos, including the one identified during the study session on page 55 around wind load. So I'll get that corrected, and it'll be the corrected version in the packet for the 26th of May.
Thank you.
There's another one on the last page. A typo.
Page number
64.
64, okay?
On the first line, the International Property Maintenance Code 2024 vision of purpose, which is to say, as purpose F, I think it's supposed to be purpose of.
But you're on page 64 of the packet?
Yeah,
64 of
Oh,
the,
down below, okay.
yeah, what is it?
the first line,
Purpose of, okay, got it. Purpose of which, yeah.
I was bored, so I wrote it down.
Thank you.
All right.
This page 64.
So can I just throw out a water question? Remember the fire a couple of years ago, I came in one of the town, I'm sorry. South of Boulder, everything went on fire.
Oh,
Marshall, yeah, Marshall fire.
Marshall Fire.
And one of the problems that they had rebuilding was the codes that had been implemented over time that brought up just so many issues, and insurance wasn't covering it and everything.
Those and I, right, a good friend that had to get his house rebuilt, and
Yes.
insanely complicated.
So what would happen, Jerry? How would we at that time, if the shit hit the fan and we had that kind of catastrophic damage?
Every new house.
How would- Is there a recourse for the town to pull back basically on the codes and allow for, I mean,
I don't think the insurance.
or do I not wanna bring up that question right now?
Yeah, I mean.
I can,
That, you're right, that is a what if there were mini vans on the back of a pickup truck and it was hit,
That's
that
French.
kind of-
We're speaking French now for all those listening.
I get it.
I'll tell you that. Dwayne's right, the going in position is, it's a new build, just like if you had a vacant lot here in town, want to build a new house. it wasn't vacant because it got burned down, just a vacant lot, it would be the negative codes. If the whole town burned down, just more new builds and present codes.
Mhm.
But you've got the power to both adopt and amend your codes, and you've done local amendments here. If that were to happen, the town could certainly convene a little session saying, okay, what can we do with our uniform codes that would be of the best help to the entire community? But that's a true catastrophic kind of thing, and you probably could inject some requirements, reducing maybe permit fees, maybe allowing for manufactured homes in a sort of fast track process. I'm thinking of all the things that frankly are probably happening there now. You have those tools available because in the end, you're in charge of building construction here in town, and you can have either tough rules or less tough rules or no rules at all. And right now you have uniform rules, which serves everyone for all the reasons we talked about in the study session. But yeah, you would have the ability to enact what amounts to disaster response building code standards that would give people a lift.
Thanks, that answers my question.
But you just have to remember too, though, it's still an insurance issue.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Also too, so it's almost, I'll say this, and just because of what I found out about that situation, they really didn't have a choice. Because then if you don't build your code, then it's hard to get it insured, and actually, a brand new house is cheaper on insurance than a house like 40 or 50 years old, because everything's.
Oh, sure, that makes sense.
Right.
I was just,
It's complicated.
I was just curious if we had a recourse. That's all I wanna know. But
I
yes,
think you
yes,
could make construction less expensive and still be building code. Doing by doing, and a lot of communities are doing that, especially around manufactured housing. And there's a range of tools municipalities are using to encourage that.
Well, and I was gonna say too, I mean, really the biggest thing is your permit fees, the water sewer tap fees, if you had to redo that, to offset those costs inside, they'd be huge. The quality of the product, yeah, manufactured homes, but you talk to Kurt, see a couple of times, it's the same price as build, it's just quicker, but it is, opportunity to get cost of quicker.
so by adopting this and starting this resolution tonight, and I know on your report, we're looking at a couple of new build permits.
Mhm.
I can ask the question then, I can ask the question now, are these new codes going to be enforced for those permits?
No.
Why wouldn't we want to do that?
They already submitted their building permit application, so they are subject to the codes as they stand right now.
Already in plan review.
They're already in plan review.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Okay.
Yep.
But if they haven't been.
No, they're both in plan review.
But I'm just saying, if somebody put in like right now and doesn't get the plan review, then that would be
Well,
wrong.
this won't be effective until after May the 26th,
Yeah.
and it's posted up, so. What we're really doing is just stalling on, just gotta read that big motion on page.
I know,
40.
exactly.
I'll do it.
All right, Amanda,
One breath.
thank you, yeah.
I move to approve ordinance number 3, series 2026. An ordinance adopting by reference the 2024 editions of the following codes: International Building Code, International Residential Code, International, there's typo,
But keep going.
International Mechanical Code, International Fuel Gas Code, International Plumbing Code, International Energy Conservation Code, International Property Maintenance Code, International Existing Building Code, and the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code, adopting amendments thereto, repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith, stating the penalties for violating the same, and making conforming amendments to Title 15 of the Georgetown Municipal Code, set for the same public hearing on second reading, May 26, 2026, and to instruct the town clerk to publish notice of that hearing as required by statute.
Thank you, do I have a second?
Second.
Alex? All those in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Very good, thank you very much. That is well done. Okay, item number 4 is consideration of standard operating procedures for the disposal of obsolete vehicles and equipment. We have looked at this before. Dennis, did you want to speak to this?
Sure, I'll let you know the auction is going to be taking place on the 29th, so we should have some information shortly thereafter about the proceeds that we're receiving for the list of obsolete vehicles and equipment that you approved a few meetings ago. During the discussion in that meeting, it was suggested that the town have a standard operating procedure for dealing with obsolete vehicles, equipment, and I've added furniture because we think we're gonna probably be dealing with that over the next year or two. So, you see, I sent that out to you, for an early look. I received some comments back and we have the final document here before you this evening for your approval. I want to point you to section 9 of this document because the other stuff is, pretty straightforward, who's doing what. But section 9 was the topic of discussion at that meeting and how we record where those receipts will be going. And, so now we've, set that out as simply as possible. Under item 3, there under section 9, assign revenue to the appropriate account for governmental accounting standards or GASB rules, such as general fund miscellaneous revenue and enterprise fund miscellaneous revenue. Now, the reason that that's worded importantly is because at the moment, the town uses general fund miscellaneous revenue and enterprise fund miscellaneous revenue. The enterprise fund would be the name of the fund, such as the water fund or the wastewater fund, or any other funds that are deemed enterprise funds. But this is written this way so it can be flexible over time and we can add the different funds if we add them. So if we change the way we do our accounting and we create, let's say, a fleet fund to manage all of our vehicles, then we want to be able to amend this and add the fleet fund as receiving these proceeds. So in practical consideration, after we have this auction this week on the 29th, any equipment that was purchased with general fund money will receive the proceeds attached to that piece of equipment. Anything that say was water department or sewer department piece of equipment, that will go back to those 2 enterprise funds as a miscellaneous revenue. And I'd be glad to answer any other questions you might have on the SOP.
I just had a quick question about the photographing of a vehicle. If required, wouldn't we want to always do that? Or would there be a reason why we want to say if required? That's item 5. It's on page 70, item 5, and it's the last bullet. Photograph the vehicle for auction listing if required. And I was just wondering, wouldn't we want to do that anyway? I don't know. It's just a moot point.
It's not gonna matter to us anymore after the vehicle's disposed of. We will keep a record of the transaction itself, but once it's auctioned off.
Once it's auctioned off, we don't care, but just getting it there to know if additional damage could occur. Okay,
I would just like to see something more descriptive under section 4 with assets other than vehicles. I think this is a protection for us. A desk is not a desk, tables aren't tables, some kind of, and then that may be even a picture that comes in. We seem to focus on vehicle information, but I can see over the course of time, especially as you mentioned, office furniture, or as we replace outdoor furniture, that there should be some,
Technology stuff.
yeah, description, a serial number if it applies at one point, and I don't know if this was ever followed through. We were going to inventory, we had ordered inventory tags in. Mary Sims had, this just goes to when we did this, that we were trying to, provide that list.
I don't know if I ever saw that list.
I don't think it was ever carried through, that's
Okay.
fine, but this focuses on vehicles. I realize could be a majority of it, but I think we should have some more descriptors for other equipment and.
Well, it says equipment and furniture, so are we thinking there's a category that would be covered by equipment and furniture?
Well, but when you're saying what furniture are you talking about?
So if you look at the purpose and on the front page purpose, it says the purpose is to establish the process for disposal of vehicles, equipment, and furniture assets through public auction. So I'm just wondering, are those comprehensive?
So if we're sending off a 1999, why am I getting
Yeah.
90s? Vehicle, it's got clear identification.
Right, VIN number, et cetera.
Right, if you've got a crappy old bench, it's probably historic, I'm sorry, whoever. How
How do we
are
identify?
we identifying
I
that?
think it's easy here to do right
What
now.
is easy, I'm just trying to make a simple suggestion.
Under section 4, Bullet point 2, the assets, condition, age, mileage, and maintenance history are reviewed. We could add, including a
Description,
description,
number.
detailed description.
Applicable, sure. See how simple that could have been. Thank you.
Model under it.
Yeah,
If there is one.
a Remington typewriter.
We are historic.
Oh, I'm not-
Historic bench.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mary.
Can I read this to you so that you're okay with approving it this evening?
Sure.
Once I get done.
I speak for everyone when I say that,
Well, we both have to.
apparently.
You can take shorthand.
Lisa, I need to save myself for 2 seconds, I have a slightly missing child, I'm sure it's fine, but
But
I just have to go get their place somewhere.
You think so? You think you need to find this kiddo?
I gotta, I did this for my kid, they don't know.
All right, okay.
Okay, so,
Please let us know how that goes.
okay, amending that little bullet point would say, history are reviewed, including detailed descriptions, model numbers, and any other relevant information to the asset.
Sure.
Okay.
Here you go.
So. If I had that Auckland voice, I would use it, but.
All right, thank you very much. Any other comments on this? We don't have a quorum, so we'll take the vote without Amanda coming back right now. Any other comments or questions on this?
I think it's wonderful.
I think it's wonderful.
Detail in the process is
Yeah, that's
spot
good.
on.
Everything good?
Yeah, I'm trying to get someone on the phone,
Okay,
sorry.
so, so we're gonna go ahead and take the vote, right?
Take the vote,
Okay.
I'm standing here.
I'll go
All
ahead.
right, very good. Would someone like to read the recommended motion?
Sure. I move that the board approve the draft standard operating procedure SOP for the disposal of absolute assets as amended.
Thank you. And second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary. All those in favor? And thank you. Any opposed? Very good. Okay, so that SOP is passed as amended. Thank you all. Item number 5 is the second item we looked at in our work session. And this is ordinance number 4, adopting by reference the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code for first reading. Are there any other questions? Everything okay?
Yes,
Okay, good.
everything's fine.
All right, so any other questions or comments on this? Excuse me, on this ordinance?
I'll fill in the date for the hearing that's mentioned in the second last whereas clause on page 75, so I will fill that in. And that's the only change that I need to make at the moment.
Very good, thank you, Jerry. There is a motion in your packet. Would someone like to read that motion?
I had a question.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Former Police Sergeant Lynette Kelsey sending some comments and questions about local control rather than the, this was my understanding, rather than Clear Creek Fire Authority on some of this stuff. And I know even with, when we've done wildfire restrictions, fire restrictions, that it hasn't been coordinated all the time with the county. Was that addressed in the work session?
No, but I can draw your attention to page 76 in the packet. As when referring to the Wildfire Resiliency Code, throughout that code where this was sort of a blank for name of jurisdiction. We plugged in either town of Georgetown or building department. So we plugged in the town, not the Clear Creek Fire Authority. I realized Fire Authority was highly recommending adoption of this code because they were here.
I'm just for
I'm
consistency.
not quite sure what the question you're asking.
Well, like when we had a fire ban, we enacted one because the sheriff's department for the county and the fire authority did. But it wasn't, and I think Dennis, we gave you more authority to do that on the spot rather than to wait for our twice monthly meetings. So does that, is there a lag if we're not putting Clear Creek fire authority under that jurisdiction? I'm not sure.
Doesn't adopt fire bans.
Yeah, right, they don't have
Sheriff.
building codes.
They don't do fire ban, it's weird, but the sheriff actually does the fire bans for the whole, the county, and then individual jurisdictions usually follow, but the fire authority doesn't have anything to do with fire bans actually.
But that was more of just an example, and so we're just trying to make sure that that we have some.
It's consistent, that we're, the county, the sheriff's department, fire department, and the town are all on the same wheel, basically, all on the same cycle.
Were the comments
So that was the same.
submitted to all of us for?
This was-
for what? For the
Like,
fire
he was talking about
Yeah,
enforcement.
this is kind of good.
Well,
What is it to?
it's hard for me to answer the question without saying the comments you're referring to, really, but I can tell you that I make a distinction. I think you should make a distinction between what amounts to your construction code world. Even though Safe Build doesn't implement that code, it's a construction-based set of regulations that's really a town job.
Right.
The fire ban world is for good reasons, countywide. Right? So you see the distinction I'm trying to make, which is, it may well be that the county adopts the wildfire resiliency code, and so does Idaho Springs and others, but they do that kind of wearing their construction, building and construction regulator hat. And likely there will end up being uniformity, but that's a very different thing than, and they'll each have local amendments probably. But that's very different than sort of the fire ban activity, which is really not a construction role. It's a public safety countywide role.
All right,
I'd be happy to look at
I'm trying to
Lynette's.
make sure that we're consistent.
The
And
county of Idaho Springs have already adopted.
that's good intent.
If you send me, if I don't have Lynette's comments, understanding you've got a hearing in May, and what I would suggest, so that I'm better informed and I'm not struggling as I am here, if I
forward
could
it to you.
give
Yeah,
those
there you
comments, I'll be prepared
That's
to.
perfect.
That too, didn't you?
But, yeah, and we can even follow up with her and see what she's made,
Yeah.
had it, yeah. So, and bring it up next time around.
I'll be prepared to address it if necessary.
Okay.
I'll forward them
Oh,
later tonight.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Rich, for having. Oh, it is my board, because it doesn't sound like.
I thought everybody got it.
I just looked through my email, and unless it came through something different,
I didn't see them.
You want
Thank
to
you.
use one since you're the fire rep?
Sure.
Any other questions or comments on this? All right, there is a motion in your packet for this first reading. Would someone like to make that motion?
Yes, I'll do that.
Thank you, Rich.
I move to approve ordinance number 4, series 2026. An ordinance adopting by reference that 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code, CWRC, including appendices A through C, providing penalties for violations of the same, and making conforming amendments to Title 15 of the Georgetown Municipal Code. Set the same for public hearing on second reading on May 26, 2026. Instruct the town clerk to publish notice of that hearing as required by statute.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alex. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. We have Chief Jones here. Hello. How are you?
Good.
You came here right at the right time. Did you have any? I know this is a bit out of order, but did you have any comments or thoughts that you wanted to add?
No, unless you have questions on the resiliency code, it's pretty straightforward.
Any questions? Did you want to ask your question to Chief
No, I
Jones, or do
think-
you want to wait for clarification from?
I think that the appropriate time would be the May
Okay.
26th. And then I send those comments to everybody.
Okay,
So we're all on the same page.
all right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Chief Jones. Please have some-
You did such a good job the first time you were here that.
I know. We
No,
have to
thanks
have
for- And I'll be here for the May 26th meeting, if there's any questions or concerns or public questions and stuff, I think that it's pretty straightforward to the.
Thank you.
Details.
Well, I see you have some candy.
we were gonna see if you could maybe make an appearance at our SIPs with the selectmen next week on the sixth.
Yeah.
As well, to kind of do the same thing you did for one grade.
Love that.
It's helpful.
No, it was great.
It's
5:30.
really, it's really good. I will be there
5:30
also.
at the.
Obviously very
Right,
important.
no, 5:30, yeah,
Bye.
fine,
Bye.
fine. Listen to selectmen Ward 1, 2, not Ward 1.
I have 6 o'clock. Are you saying it's 5 o'clock?
Yeah, they have trivia.
Well, they're not having trivia that night, but we thought they did, but we still kept the schedule.
All right, so, but it's at 5 o'clock on the 6th. All right, very good. Well, thank you. And thank you. I'm glad you were here. Good to see you as
Yeah,
always.
5%.
So, any questions for
No, get out of here while you're
Not
yet.
You have to escape while you can. Run.
Good to see you, sir, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We appreciate you making some time for us, that's
Oh,
all.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you
Thank you.
too. So agenda item number 6 is the intergovernmental agreement establishing the Clear Creek Trail Collaborative. We looked at this in our last meeting and I know we all wanted a map to be attached. A map was sent out and was attached, and then a more detailed map was provided of the section that runs through Georgetown, although Georgetown is part of the mountain section of this. Dennis, did you want to say anything
No,
else?
I just wanted the two items that were requested were the exhibit A, which we received from the collaborative. But I've also heard that the exhibit A isn't very detailed, so is there something more detailed? And I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours trying to come up with a good map. And this is what I have for you this evening, and this is a pretty good description, and it shows you where the existing trail is, where they're planning to extend that, and then where they're in the design phase. And this is directly from the collaborative, the trail website. I gave you the link today and in an email. And if you desire to have even better map, I can continue to pursue this with the collaborative and suggest that they update that and make it a more detailed map for Georgetown. And I would guess if Georgetown's asking, then other communities would be interested as well.
I'm thinking some of these highlighted areas that indicate that it's planned are now actually existing. Because we have improved Argentine, and that was a large part of that path. So the other piece though, too, was we had discussed having a, oh no, I think it was something else. I was gonna say public meeting, but that was an answer. I'll shut up.
Then the second item that was requested was some clarification on the town's financial obligations as part of this IGA. And in the memorandum, I have identified Article 5, Sections 2 and 3, detail capital and maintenance repair responsibilities of the town, because we are considered a trail managing agency or member. The town of Georgetown is responsible for such costs for the portion of the trail that is within our town limits at our discretion, which is part of the same situation. If we choose to identify these as maintenance projects or any additional expenditures, then the board can choose to do that at their discretion. There is no responsibility tied to this IGA to do that. Article 5 section provides also an opportunity for cost sharing among the members for projects that apply to the full corridor. So if the collaborative identifies a project, let's say it's a signage change out that would apply for the whole corridor, then the opportunity exists for us to all share in the cost for that, but that is taken on a case-by-case basis, and the town can choose to participate or not participate. So the summary there is that under this IGA, the town is not obligated to any financial contributions, that those are considered on a case-by-case basis and at the total 100% discretion of the town.
But it does say under number 6, the cost share, the second line says members may contribute, which allows us that discretion, but then at the end, it seems to indicate, and I'm skimming this fast, that we may be subject to it upon a consensus vote of all the members, so if we're odd man out.
Well, I will say, I read that differently than funding. I read that say, you know, the, whether or not there's gonna be a separate agreement for project supply to full quarter is something that all the members, you know, need to vote on. But you separately still continue to decide whether you will fund that trail-wide project. You've got to read both sentences, I think, together. For projects that apply to the full corridor, members are limited by their appropriation authority and discretion. So I make a distinction between funding and entering into a contract. You can certainly vote for or against a contract to like create all new signs all the way up and down the corridor. Great, the collaborative voted to enter into that contract. But when it comes time for Georgetown to pay its aliquot, what that word, share, you rely on the first sentence, you rely on the first sentence that says, we choose not to, it's our full discretion to not do it. The other members can decide if they want to pony up or not. And honestly, if there's not enough members ponying up, they probably wouldn't do it. I also suspect that in real life, that discussion of this trail-wide contract would be on the table. And people would, you know, people look around at each other and say, are we gonna fund this? And are we each gonna fund this? And if, you know, Green Ridge and Idaho Springs and Jefferson County said, nah, then it's quite likely that the collaborative is not gonna even approve the contract. But even if they do, which is your question, it's clear throughout that when we get the bill for our aliquot share, we can say no. We just can't.
Any other questions on this?
I was just nervous that it was the, like a countywide unfunded mandate that, the county no longer has funds. And that it would be a backdoor way to appropriate funds from the, lodging tax that we now collect.
So why is this taking so much energy now? What's occurring now? I don't mean with us, but why is the CCTC?
More active now?
Yeah,
I think Beth Luther was interfacing with them a lot before, and then when she left, we had Jessica Armendula step into that role in the Parks Commission. And they've been trying to get this contract together for a year, and you're just not seeing it now, so. But even a year ago, they were like, yeah, we have this IGA, but it won't ask you to do anything. It just is to like form this group so we can like collaborate more effectively.
Well, the group existed.
It
Yeah.
existed before.
This is an update and it has been dragging on, as Kasia said, for more than a year. In fact, when we were ready to bring it to you originally, Jessica at one of her meetings said that we were getting ready to bring it. And I said, no, wait, we're not done yet. So it, on their behalf, they've been slowly pushing on this, just gradually. And it's just an update. You can see that, you know, Beth was the representative at that time. I think she was,
Yeah.
for us.
but this isn't, I mean, even though the name makes us feel that it's Clear Creek County, it's not Clear Creek County.
So
It's the entire, exactly, and so
It's not,
it has stalled then for
It is not.
lower 48.
it's not counted.
It's not.
No, it's not.
Right, no, I understand that, and so that's why I'm asking, why the energy on it now? As opposed to, you know, what's happened with Wheat Ridge, what's happened with some of the other towns, I can't remember when we had the 50 million pages of signatures attached. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, yeah, they're all there.
There's something that's behind this. Unique, I don't know
I
about
don't
it.
know if
It
it's driving
seems to me that this is an administrative thing to update the document and keep the collaborative going.
There's also, I think, a desire in the Colorado Tourism Office to have a trail that they can talk about for visitors. Oh, you can hike from Wheat Ridge up to Silver Cliff. I'm not sure many people will want to do that, but you know, I think that's really. And that's what
At
it
least
is.
the ones
It's a
that I
bus
see on
stop
our map.
property. Right, it's part of that whole connectivity of, oh, look, you can do all of these things together. That's how I saw this, based on what I've heard before too.
We're
So,
talking
yeah.
also Jeffco, Adams,
Yeah.
Clear Creek,
It's a
Arvada,
whole
the
thing,
Apex Rec District.
right,
Yeah.
which is
The-
Great Ridge Golden, yeah.
I haven't honestly seen much correspondence from Clear Creek County.
No, it's not a
No.
county thing.
It's like, Dylan from Idaho Springs sends a lot of emails and then some people from Golden, so it's not the county
No.
pushing this. I think Amy Saxon was the rep from the county for this collaborative, and I don't know who they replaced her with, so who they have replaced her with.
Any other questions on this? Okay, there's a motion in your packet regarding this IGA. Would someone like to read and make that motion?
Yep.
Mike,
I moved to adopt the updated intergovernmental agreement, IGA, establishing Clear Creek Trail Collaborative.
thank you. Second,
Second.
Amanda?
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, that IGA is approved. And last action item in your packet is item number 7, which is the creation of Strauss Park booth reservation fees. Bridget, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so currently the booths at Strauss Park fall under a town facilities reservation fee. And we're proposing creating a new fee for the Strauss Park booths that is less inhibiting for businesses to operate out of the booths. Because currently we operate on an hourly fee that is not conducive to profits. So in efforts to make the Strauss Park booths more cost effective and welcoming to businesses, we are looking to introduce a $25 a day fee for reserving those booths.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for Bridget on this?
I have a couple.
Yeah,
So is there somewhere in the definition, so, cause the booth split? You know, like, and people could get like 3 of them, do they pay $75 or do they pay $25?
It's per booth.
So it's per
Per booth.
outside booth.
per booth per day. We want to make that clear too.
Yes, that's a good.
Alright, that'd be a good deal.
I know, like, woo, I get all Strauss Park for $25. Yeah, exactly. And then the other question I had is, how do you anticipate this is gonna impact Christmas market and that rental system? Is it, or does this go to the same system?
I believe how Christmas market works is they rent out the whole park and then they
So
get vendors
yeah,
that would
there's that.
fill those booths. We also would apply the nonprofit waiver option to HGI who do it for reservations, so.
Okay.
But yeah, if you rent out the whole park and are doing the hourly fee and less waive, the booths are yours to use.
What's to keep someone from renting a lot of the booths? Not just a small business local person, but someone just saying, I want all the booths at $25 a day.
They do still have to apply, so we would have the discretion to say that doesn't align with.
So it wouldn't be an
town values.
individual, like I said, if someone wanted to just, oh, I want them all for the 4th of July, and it's a cheap deal.
I mean,
It would depend on the demand, so if somebody was the only person that said, I'd like to rent this for this weekend. Then I wouldn't have a problem with that, I don't think the town would, but if we had 6 people asking for the booze, then we would definitely use our discretion to be fair to everybody applying. Now, with that said, the caveat here is, we've had recent experience with a couple of businesses that were interested. And the change in the pricing makes it easy, makes it that they can do it
100%.
versus the way it used to be,
Yeah.
but this is going to evolve over time, I mean. This is just my personal view, but Strauss Park is severely underutilized
Yeah.
year round.
Yeah.
And the Shangri-La of all this would be every weekend, the place was packed with vendors and people were milling around and it was great. We might get there, if we do, then we'll have to revisit this strategy and it might be more, we wanna be more selective with the pricing and. More rules on who gets what first, what the prioritization is, but right now it's kind of like. We have so much there to offer that's not being utilized, we wanna make this as attractive as possible.
So I think that it's a really great move to make the pricing a lot more attainable and bring competition to the historic district in a positive way, because I stand by the mantra that all the boats float when there's people here visiting, and it's good for everybody. So I think taking out the complication is great. I would just caution that somewhere that has to be spelled out very specifically, so you don't have a person that thinks that they can get the whole park for $25.
Yeah, I think that,
Or
you have to come up with some
Yeah.
sort of parameters, I think, and then the other thing is. What's it cost us, like, when it is cold, to run those heaters and the electricity? And all those type of things, because I think you have to have some balance to that.
There used to be a charge of $25 a day for each booth for electricity, but that was before the infrared heaters went in, and I don't know if those are drawing more or not, but I also know that they're on all the time. What if the parking lot is full of food trucks and they all decide to vent down to Strauss Park? I could
We have a
see,
lot of foot traffic in downtown Florida.
I see zero. I'm not. Okay.
I mean, it's something to change, so if we go to the budget and find out that if we're
Yeah.
taking up that much power, we go, oh, we're gonna bump it to 40 bucks.
so we could, but you bring up a good point. We have run the utilities over at Strauss Park almost nonstop over the last several months. And the utility bills are broken down and we can assess what those fees are. Now granted, that's winter. But let's factor that in,
That's 9 months.
perhaps
a
when
year.
we, and even on a nice day, someone might look the heat on, kind of, I mean, just because it's July doesn't mean it's not cool. So if we're trying to at least balance what it's costing us to run those booths, we should just do a little digging into that bill and see if this is actually pays for that on a booth.
I think if we
basis.
can get them rented out though, that's
Yeah,
the first
I
step.
think that's
We
the
have,
first step.
I totally agree that we might be undershooting on this a little bit. But if we're able to start getting the booths utilized, and then we see that demand resonates. And we see a spike in utilities, I would 100% support coming back, but I don't want us to, sometimes we like. Bite our nose off to spite our face, cause we've set like we did with the first round on the food truck, and then we came down maybe a little bit too low, and now we gotta find like.
Right,
The Goldilocks is porridge in the middle where it's just right. And so maybe we're coming in a little bit under, but if we ended up in a situation where we had $250 a weekend, as Mike just said. I mean, is there there's 10 booths in there right now, right? 10,
We're not looking at it from an income standpoint, though, we're
No.
looking at it for.
No, to cover costs.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
think for
And if we're
purposes,
generating sales tax
Right.
revenue, because these are all vetted and appropriate,
right, license.
licensees who are here within the confines of everything else, I think that the $25 use fee is a great investment for us and for both downtown.
Right, and I think it allows us to go forward per Mike's idea and say, oh, okay, what is this costing us? What are we looking at? First, we need to get people in there, I would think, and then let's analyze the costs on a real, in real life type of thing.
I can guarantee you the cost center of that is, we are getting more money, way more money than we are spending out there. When you take into account all revenue streams that derive from an event. So if you have sales tax bump because you've got 10 booths operating out there, the fee of $25 is small potatoes.
So all the parking things will be giving that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you build it, they will
I
come.
have an idea, like, even when we did the change of the one-way, we put a deadline. So if you're gonna do this blue light special, you'll be able to evaluate if it's August 1st, before the leaf peeping season, see how many people take advantage of it during a couple of our special events. But I would feel much more comfortable if I knew we have a date where we're gonna have the data to evaluate it and extend it, or do something different.
Well, keep in mind that we update all of our fees every year. So I would say that appropriate time would be next year when we update these fees, or we look at all these fees. We now, hearing this conversation, we include some type of cost center analysis for that
Right.
spot. And we should even, I would argue, be looking at city park or any lake rentals, and we should have those all siloed into what their own cost centers generating and costing us. I think that's a really good idea, but once a year would be a good measurement stick.
For this particular one?
Absolutely. For Strauss Park as a whole,
So do you guys have, do we have blackout dates? So like if I want to call up and I want to book 3 booths for 4th of July? Or for like Christmas markets, I'm still, they're in town.
I just brought a single day.
Well, I get that, but like, say if I call right
Yeah, but
now.
he's saying
like,
about
Saturday,
blackout
that-
dates.
Say if I wanted that Saturday.
We
we
should,
would say no, Christmas market has that.
right.
So
They've
there
are-
already
Yes.
booked it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So.
And even if Mary had not submitted her stuff, we know that what the dates are,
Right.
so.
Oh, maybe
Well,
Mary
that's fine,
wants
but
to
I'm looking at it.
Christmas market.
Well, but I'm looking at it from a consumer though, which you guys mentioned, then and rent all of it, but that's exactly what they're doing, so I'm just saying,
Yeah,
being devil's advocate, but like, okay, well, I wanna rent a booth, well, you can't. Okay, well, but they're already renting all of them, and you just kind of mentioned that you won't let anybody rent all of them if somebody wants one of them, I'm just.
Well, but you can allow, like, someone bring their own event, like, someone come in and rent all the booths and bring in.
Right,
You're fine with.
And then they orchestrate the market.
Yeah, sorry, you mentioned that somebody coming in and doing all that was maybe, you said you would maybe vet that, but I guess only if other people wanted it.
there has to be some common sense and reasonability here.
right.
Or just like she says, we want all the booths.
Well, for example, like say a beer tasting event, so someone has one liquor license, they come in, they rent the whole booth.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, and so because they're gonna take over the whole thing and run the event themselves, just like how Christopher is run by an outside.
So once it's booked, it's booked.
Yeah,
Yeah, once it's booked, it's booked.
yeah, so that, for example, like Jamie probably goes in.
But to me, that's the best investment for the town, that's what you want, is
Yeah.
people to come in, because that's gonna drive most draw.
Yeah, we want events, but you also like. Someone trying to do their own farmer market, they're the ones there renting one booth, but they're by themselves, you know?
And
like-
they've got some salary, and they're like,
Yeah.
I mean, but what's wrong with it though, like that?
Well, we want all of that, but I don't think, I'm not doing it.
So I think here's what we know. So for purposes of this discussion, the idea is to approve $25 per booth per day, with the idea that we're gonna go forward with the cost analysis. And if all of a sudden we have a run on Strauss Park, then it's gonna happen sooner than a year, I think, because we wanna be very mindful, right, of the use and what is happening.
In any event, if something came out of the blue and it wasn't going according to plan, you would hear from us. that
Absolutely.
We need to.
And you'd hear from us, because we'd all be like, what's going on? So, okay, any other discussion on this? All right, there's a motion in your packet. Would someone like to read and make that motion?
I move to approve the creation of the Strauss Park booth rental fee set at $25
Per booth.
I second.
Thank you, Mike. Those in favor? Any opposed? All right, very good. Thank you. So moving on to reports, we'll start with police. I do not have a report today. So we'll start with Board of Selectmen reports. Wayne, do you have a report?
You made the last meeting, it was my youngest son's birthday, so I couldn't make it.
Yeah. And I included an update. in
So
my-
we'll go through that one in your report. Thank you, Kasia. All right, Amanda, do you have a report?
Sips with the Selectmen,
Yes.
Yes.
Ward 1. Coming at you next Wednesday night.
Once I figure out how to email you all through Outlook, I will email you the flyer.
It is gonna be at Clear Creek Inn, it's gonna be from 5 to 7, we thought we were going to beat trivia, but I guess not. So it'll be a little loose and a little open house, but we're very excited. And we appreciate you all coming to our sips.
Yes.
That is gonna be very
Something
exciting.
will be posted.
Thank you.
Yes.
So that.
Yeah, so we'll be sure that's posted. Yes. All right, thank you, Amanda. Anything else?
No.
All right, very good. Mike, any reports?
Like I didn't score one, that too. I became famous during the Grinnell Pass opening.
You did?
Yeah, I got people sending screenshots from all over the world.
Cool.
They're like, oh my god, what is this all about?
That's great.
So that was fun, the bike ride was awesome, got to know a lot more locals on a different level that I never really got to hang out with before.
That was
So,
a great success. Everybody loved that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so So that was good. Yeah, I think that whole event was great, even though it was just joining from the normal week that we have it. So I think it's would be beneficial for us.
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Mike, we have come up with this idea internally. We have a picture of you ringing the bell at Christmas market. And then you are almost in the exact same position in a photograph.
I know,
So the idea is that you would be in every event, taking up the same exact position, posing, but with different wardrobe.
Different,
Yeah.
yeah.
Throw a flag on the 4th of July.
Okay, I know, you got hot dog for the July.
St. Patrick's Day, green,
Right.
green beer, yeah.
Thank you. Alex, a report?
Not a book.
All right, thank you, Rich.
No report?
Thank you, Mary. No report. All right, very good. So moving on into our town attorney report, Jerry.
Thank you all for your work on these, uniform codes. I will tell you that it's terrific that we've gotten them updated. It's a lot of work. And you have more coming in May if there are comments on them, but, I know that the building community in general and our safety appreciate your doing. But other than that, I have no other report.
Very good, thank you. All right, for staff reports, you have a report from Bridget in your packet. Bridget, anything you would like to add or any questions for Bridget?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Bridget? All right, very good, thank you. And then town treasurer Q, you have a report in here. Anything you wanted to add on or illuminate?
I had a question.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, maybe you're gonna talk about this. So auditing the STR permit holders to check for compliance. Are you looking at their taxation, their licensing, their safety, the old kit, what are we looking, I mean,
What is being audited, in other words?
I'm looking to make sure they're paying their sales tax. If they're not paying it, if they've still reported that nobody has stayed there. And if they have rented it for the required amount for the year.
thank you.
Rental periods, is that what you were saying? Yeah, thank you. All right, any other questions? Very good, moving on, Assistant Town Administrator Kasia, you did provide a report. Did you want to talk about maybe the housing or other things on there? Housing authority, I mean?
The housing authority met on April 13th. We will be doing one meeting a month from now on. Now that we have an executive director instead of two, which is exciting for me personally. And yeah, Erica is diving in, getting a lot of stuff done, working with our consultants that we've hired through the local planning capacity grant. Still a lot of like foundational stuff that we have to do, like we have to sign up for workers' comp, you know, things like that. So, that's all just still happening, but we're excited to have her on board. We also have official legal counsel. We hired Joe to consult on specifically the Lakeview Flats project. But we also have, I think they're called like Hart Legal Consult. I should remember that, but, yeah, we have a regular attorney now, so that's exciting too. I think the biggest thing that's happening right now is that I'm working on the DOLA grant. And so that presentation, I have a draft of it. It's been reviewed by our DOLA representative. His notes were basically just make it shorter. We only have 7 minutes. So me and Georgia and Dennis, I think, and Bob will be driving down to Canyon City on May 6th. So we'll be driving for 2.5 hours and presenting for 14 minutes and then coming back, so. But hopefully we'll get money from it, yay.
What does EIAS stand for?
Energy impact. I have to Google
Assistance
it.
fund or something?
It's like a lot of dashes, it's not a clear sentence.
I think it's assistance fund, but we'll see here.
Energy mineral, yeah, there's an M too, Energy Mineral Impact Assistant Fund Grant.
Yeah.
It's all written out on the front of the presentation in a very Victorian, pretty.
That's true, my presentation looks very Victorian. Speaking acronyms the whole time, so you get about so much information. It actually is, it can be in the acronym.
You're gonna have to speak quickly like, yeah, speak quickly like Mary did.
JTML, yeah.
So once code enforcement starts,
They
it
started,
started on the 23rd.
yes.
Can your, at least monthly report include some statistics as to how that is working out, please?
Yep. No problem.
Thank you.
He's very nice, very bubbly, very cheerful. Cameron.
Well, then, there you go. All right, thank you. Any other questions for Kasia? We skipped Anna Lee's report. Is Anna Lee online? She's up there.
Hello, I'm here.
Great, so we have your report. Is there anything you would like to add, Anna?
I don't think so, not right now.
Okay, any questions for Anna?
I just wanted to say I like the uptake in the postings that you're doing.
Yes.
Instagram, especially we're seeing a lot of traction on social media and it's really positive. The TikTok page is looking good, so great job. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anna, either a question for you or a question for Mike as the BPC rep. Are we changing Memorial Days to Memorial Day weekend, or are we retaining the Georgetown Days? Term. For the last couple of years, we were trying to push that as Georgetown Days. I don't have a personal preference, I would just like to know for consistency
I
purposes.
thought it was Memorial Day.
It was Georgetown Days for a long time. That was
really?
an old one.
Anna Lee can speak on that.
Yeah, Anna Lee, how about
Yeah.
that?
So we're running with Georgetown Days just because that is what people identify it with, but we are still adding the little tagline that it's Memorial Day weekend. So the answer is both. But for the sake of consistency and the fact that people identify it with Georgetown Days, we don't want to lose that proud Georgetown statement either. And so we're kind of navigating, especially with this being my first year. I don't want to rock the boat too much. Out of respect for those that out of respect for those that do know it as Georgetown Days. That being said, the weekend as a whole is pretty much planned. We're still working on some connections for that Memorial Day ceremony, which is why that was specified as Memorial Day in the report.
Thank you. Any other questions for Anna? All right, thank you, Anna. Thank you for sticking to the end.
Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, Dennis, Town Administrator. I know this is part of what you're gonna talk about, this Colorado Resilience handout that you got.
Well, there's not much to talk about it. I get periodic emails from different groups, the OLA group, Catholic group, CML sends stuff through all the time. And anytime I see something that might be of interest to you as board members to attend, maybe it's a training or an exercise, I want to make sure that I make it available to you. So this is something that just came in this morning and I thought you might be interested in it. If you'd like to go and participate, let us know. We'll make all the arrangements. I don't know what the arrangements would be, but we'll find out if you're interested in going. If not, it's just something to be cognizant of as elected officials that these programs are going on at the state level. Okay, with that said, the other things I wanted to add to the report this evening is a gazebo update. So Tom Peterson is working on the design for the new gazebo. He has time scheduled tomorrow to inspect the old gazebo pieces at Worldly Bridge. He's also done he's completed a review of the ADA requirements for that and concluded that the accessibility ramp is going to be required, which may mean we have to remove the base altogether and start from scratch because the current base is too tall and the grade limitations on an ADA ramp would probably require 2 circles around the gazebo, which would probably not be feasible. So that's going on. He's working very diligently to get that design work done so that you can see it. And our target is for you to have it at your next regular meeting so you can bless it and we can include that in an RFP.
Wouldn't that come under existing building?
That's what I was gonna say, it's a shame if they couldn't for historic.
Uh-huh.
It won't.
But that gazebo isn't technically.
I forgot it was,
Yeah,
sooner than I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, it turned 50, it would have turned 50 this year. Yeah,
1 year, right, needs to be 50 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing is, there, if you haven't noticed, there's a new, geographical amenity now. It's over by the I-70 interchange where cars disappear into a large pothole. If you've seen that.
No.
So, Road and Bridge is working with Water and Sewer to install a manhole riser. This has been a long-term problem. I've understood that Ryan was dealing with this all the time. So we're gonna install a riser for the manhole to bring it up to, the level of the roadway. Then we're gonna do a pothole patch. But that section is gonna have to require some permanent repairs and maintenance at some point, and it's gonna be a budget item in the future year. So that's gonna require a temporary lane closure, and when we know the date of that work, we'll let the community know, and you'll know ahead of time as well. Community center, the community center banners have been kind of, hit and miss where we put them based on the space available. So, Mickey's gonna work on installing a community center banner holder on the side of that building. And it's gonna become a couple standard sizes so that we can better hold those banners in the wind and that they're more visible and also, be able to accommodate other nonprofit organizations. We've already been talked to by the school district. They'd like to put up a banner for the summer that says, roll now for the next spring. So we would put that up, and we'd swap it for an event, put that up, and keep doing that back and forth as we can. Sixth Street Christmas decoration poles. If you notice, there's a couple of poles, they look like telephone poles, and they're very important to us being able to string Christmas decorations across Sixth Street. Those poles though are old and they are rotting and becoming a safety concern. They're not yet a problem, but we're gonna get ahead of this, and Road and Bridge at some point over the summer gonna replace those two poles. So be on the lookout for that work. It shouldn't take very long or disrupt anything going on Sixth Street. Code enforcement, Keisha talked about Cameron. He stopped in on Thursday, his first day, and we gave him the Reader's Digest version of what we would expect for his work here in Georgetown. We also assigned him an easy one his first day to look at trash dumpsters to make sure that they're conforming and not code violations. He identified a few, and we're going to be, just so you know, because this is a conversation that might be going on in the community. We do not intend to send out citations, first. That's not our first choice. We're gonna send out friendly letters that say, please help us keep Georgetown beautiful. And we're gonna be flexible on the time of period that they have to remedy something. As long as they're committed to remedying the violation, we're working with them. We're not gonna be the police on code enforcement. Now, if they do not cooperate with us or remedy the situation, then it will go to the next stage, and that will involve citations, and then eventually Jerry would have to get involved in terms of summons and all that kind of stuff. Anna is working on an FAQ right now on this code enforcement effort so that people can see this is a friendly effort to beautify Georgetown. This is not something that is going to be punitive. And then lastly, Mary asked by email last week what our plan might be for watering the big tree order that's coming this week. So we're expecting the order of trees that are going in North Argentine that you approved way back, a couple months ago. So to make sure that we are abiding by our own conservation rules, we'll call them, we are going to be watering the new trees just once a week. Kevin's very confident that'll do the trick. And then when the flower baskets arrive and the new flowers on Sixth Street arrive, we will be abiding by the once every other day flower watering schedule. And we are actually gonna divide up that responsibility so that we're gonna treat half of the flowers in the barrels as the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we're gonna address the other one as the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, just so we're not burdening one 3-day period for all of those. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions on the report or anything else that you have questions on that we're burning coming into the meeting.
Were you doing senior banners this year?
Yes, we do have that on the list. And it'll be up earlier than last year.
Before they graduate.
Yeah.
No,
Graduating on the 22nd. Sorry.
What about the ones known for embellish on that with the town tourism website? either one of you guys, what was it?
It was on the.
Annalee met with another vendor today, we're collecting quotes at this point.
For on-salt?
No, for the website.
Oh, website, gotcha, thank you. Okay.
The issue with that is, to us, while we're sitting and listening to these web developments, we wanna see something new and improved for the website, not just the same website with maybe a different post.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so. It would be, yes, exactly, and Anna's working very diligently on the calendar, but the calendar itself is clunky and it's presenting some issues, but she's working very hard on that. Also, Anna's also working on another project I wanted to make sure you knew about. I was in Evergreen over the weekend and I noticed that they had some ground signs out that the city had put out that was encouraging people to abide by their water restrictions. So she's developing a social media campaign for the water restriction, the conservation rules. And she's also doing a blurb in the newsletter. We're gonna do a mailing, and then we're also going to use our weighted ground signs around town and having places like the roundabout so that people will see our conservation efforts are in full swing. And then just so you know, because those weighted signs are so popular, we just bought 5 more.
Yay!
So we're gonna have, how many now total, Anna?
Is she there?
Audio, unmute.
She wasn't expecting.
Sorry, I
that.
haven't figured out how to use technology. I think we have a total of 11 or 12 now. So we'll be utilizing those throughout the town.
Yes, we're excited about rolling those out for all the special events that are coming up.
They're heavy to roll though.
They are heavy, they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Blown away on those 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Very good, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, do I have a motion at 7:21 to adjourn?
Sorry,
Was that Mary?
Yes, it was.
Okay, second.
I did the second for you.
Wayne, very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, we are adjourned, thank you.
Sorry, we had to like to get up and the meeting's
Did
gonna
you have
end,
a-
and Bridget nailed it, like.
7:21. Amazing. What did you do? You need to win
We were
some.
supposed to say.
No, you won't break it.
Yeah, you guys can.
You have to clean up.
I wouldn't need those by text.
You pick up, it's like, I get it, like, and I work for, like, say,
I don't know.
How did you get
So.
7:21?
We started cruising and it felt right. And it wasn't.
And it was not my, I mean, that's even more not, but.
That's what they're after.
That is.
You know.
Right, but I love him.
It's all. This is grass on that.
I also